assessment strategies are quite specific. So I'm going to give you a sort of general overview of some of the tools for planning together through co-engaged assessment for and of learning all along the way. This opens up the landscape, starting with the teacher working in context, then looking at bringing in ethics, looking at the Sustainable Development Goals as a tool, and then assessing which materials to use, and then actually developing an assessment strategy. Looking at approach, looking at the task sequencing, and looking at the assessment, where we have noted that there is a place for conventional assessment. It's normally for ESD in the higher order echelons of application for handprint care, and also that we can broaden our assessments. So one of the key tools that we find useful assessment for learning is the Sustainable Development Goals wheel. Very widely used, and also it's an assessment tool that the learners can actually deploy to deepen their understanding of the concerns that they are exploring and responding to. So it's a practical assessment tool, and it's particularly important for deliberative learning. Then we looked at competencies in deliberative learning actions. And here ESD competences are a very useful tool for scaffolding and assessing knowledge-based learning progressions. They enable us to mediate competences necessary for learning-led change, moving through knowledge, know-how, and the agency of being able to do things for change in a local area. Finally, the most innovative and useful tool in a classroom setting and also in a group assessment process is the significant learning, looking at foundational knowledge, the application of this foundational knowledge, and also its integration into approaches to change. Then going much broader into looking at the human and ecological dimensions, the ethical sides of living together, and also then learning how to learn. The latter, we didn't really probe fully because it's very important, to my mind, reflecting on the work that we did, that learning how to learn in different ways is a critical competence for ESD. Learning how to cope with differences, to recognize that people will have different opinions, that there are more than one way of doing things. So we learned a tremendous amount through exploring these tools for assessment for learning, and the assessment as learning, and then, of course, the assessment of learning, which is always a task that teachers have to keep in their frame of reference, because as teachers, we need to be assessors with our learners. So the assessment flower can be used both to guide ESD as assessment of sustainability concerns, as well as to more broadly and deeply assess learning outcomes. Now, here are some references, the DFINC reference and the Shumba work that has been done with Mandekonza and Lotse Sitka in Southern Africa. The field is really open, and often we are confronted with just one answer, which is, how did things change? How has behavior changed? And I hope that what this has shown in the handprint approach is that assessment is a much more open, integrated, and collaborative enterprise that we are engaged in together in ESD.